if the Blue Jays do not get into contention and do not feel confident in their team, as I've written and as I've said, they're going to face a reckoning.
Who is the most likely player to be traded over the next couple months or just leading up to the deadline?
This one I think I can answer with some degree of confidence. If he's healthy, Jesus Luzardo. Why do I say that? Well, we just saw the Marlins trade a two-time batting champion. They certainly would trade their most veteran pitcher and their best pitcher when healthy from this current group. Sandy's not healthy right now. Yuri Perez is not healthy. Jesus Luzardo is a guy who's making some money and is on the injured list currently, but once he's back, I would expect he'd be a guy that certainly will be discussed and likely moved.
Okay. So next up, who do you think will be traded that could surprise some people? Is there a name you have in mind that could be the shocker of the trade deadline? I mean, last year we certainly had a couple, including Scherzer and Verlander. You never would have expected that in April.
I will preface this by saying we didn't know that what you said, Scott, that Verlander and Scherzer would be even trade candidates at this time last year. There was not even a hint of thought about that. So when you ask me who the surprise is going to be, I'm guessing, and probably the surprise guys are going to be guys that we are not even talking about. A couple stand out to me just because they've been a little bit talked about already. One, if the Astros ever sold, which they claim they won't, would be Verlander. And he is a guy with a no trade clause. He's not necessarily going to want to go anywhere. That's one problem with this theory. The other problem is Jim Crane, the owner, is pretty adamant about keeping this team competitive. And they believe still that they have a good team. Their general manager, Dana Brown, said on MLB Network the other day that we're not selling. Okay, they're 12 under. As Eric was saying, they're in a bad spot. If they're 20 under at the deadline or whatever the case might be, guess what? They're not going to be able to be in such an obstinate position. They're going to need to look at some things. And at that point, would Verlander want to go? I don't know. But that is something certainly that would be interesting because if the Astros sold, there are a whole lot of directions they can go in. Alex Bregman is a potential free agent. Framber Valdez up the year after this. Kyle Tucker as well. They haven't signed him. I mean, you can do 100 things. I'm not saying any of it's going to happen, but that is a team to watch. And the other team that we've been talking about quite a bit is the Blue Jays. And if the Blue Jays do not get into contention and do not feel confident in their team, as I've written and as I've said, they're going to face a reckoning. You haven't signed Guerrero. You haven't signed Bichette. You're probably not going to sign them if you haven't signed them at this point. They're less than 2 years away from free agency. Do you trade them? Or do you simply keep it going and try to win with this team, a team that has not proven it can win? So those are a couple of early names. But again, I'll stress it's speculation. It's just guessing at this point. We don't know who is going to be out there. We don't know which teams. A week ago, for instance, guys, if you had said the Cardinals were potential sellers, I would have said, no way. They're going to wait and wait and wait and see where they are and hopefully come around and not sell. That would be the second straight year they did that. It would bode trouble for their baseball operations and everyone involved. Now with Contreras down for a couple of months, well, he was their best hitter. He's in the top 10 in the majors in OPS. The rest of the team is hitting below 215, I believe. Can you see it happening perhaps? Yeah, you can see it happening. But again, there's so much time until the deadline. We're almost 3 months away still.
26-year-old shortstops don't always come up in trade rumors or speculation. What kind of market, even hitting 191 with one home run to this point, what kind of, not market, but what kind of returns could you see from Bo Bichette if the Blue Jays were able to put him out there on the market? And there would definitely be takers because everybody needs big league shortstops.
Let's see how he performs in the next couple of months, because if he gets hot again, people are going to say, whoa, yeah, let's go. Even if he doesn't, people are going to think, get him out of there, get him to a place where the team is contending and has a better way about them, whatever. He could bring, I would expect, some significant prospects. He has 2 pennant races left before he's a free agent. The Dodgers, just as an example, right? They're playing Mookie at shortstop. It's going fine. Probably better than they ever expected. You get Bo Bichette, you put Mookie at second, you do some other things. I mean, the world opens up, and other teams will look at it the same way, even if they have maybe a shortstop. Maybe it's a guy who can play another position. So I would expect the return would be good, presuming he's not hitting 150.
Okay, let's finish with a double down on the Cardinals, because fans are watching and listening and wondering if Ryan Helsley could be that big name for a team like the Baltimore Orioles. Even if Craig Kimbrell gets out of
Mason
his
Miller.
slump, we've talked a lot about Mason Miller. Let's spend some time on Ryan Helsley. If Mason Miller does not get moved, could Helsley be that big-time closer that could help a team in the playoffs? And would a squad like the Orioles be the perfect fit? Because Craig Kimbrell, you could make a case, cost the Phillies their shot at the World Series last year. He blew 2 games in that NLCS. And I think no matter what happens, even if he goes on a heater the next couple months, people are going to be nervous about the 9th inning in Baltimore.
I would agree with Scott with that. And he's been removed from 2 straight save opportunities. Not a good sign. And Craig Kimbrell's accomplished a lot. There's no doubt about that. But is he the guy to take you all the way through October? I don't know that you can say that at this stage of his career. We explained or explored this at great length on Fair Territory today, the idea of Helsley to the Orioles. Helsley's making $3.8 million. At the deadline, it'll be less than $2 million, less than probably $1.7 million. So he's affordable for any team. He also has another year of club control. Now, the prerequisite here is the Cardinals having to sell, deciding that they want to sell. Again, I don't see it happening, but if he is out there, absolutely, he is a guy that would appeal, of course, not just to the Orioles, but to every contender. You guys said every team wants a shortstop. Every team wants a closer even more. So I can see that. And Mason Miller is going to be a really interesting test of the A's and where they are. Because certainly he was hurt last year. He is a guy who throws a zillion miles an hour, but is he the guy that you're going to open in Vegas with in 5 years or whatever the case might be? No, probably not. So I could see them trying to maximize his value. But as I've said repeatedly, at the same time, at some point this team has to keep some players and actually try. And they're going to Sacramento next year. They claim they're going to be ramping up for Vegas. Well, let's see it.
I have to start by just making sure the lights work for him for his entrance. I don't know if you caught that interview, Cam, but Mason was like, yeah, I would do a cool entrance out of the bullpen. But if they turn the lights off, I don't know if they'll go back on. We're just here.
Line.
It was so good. It was so good. So he's got the personality to go along with the wild thing and the 9th inning action for the real life major league team. Ken, thank you so much for breaking this all down. Everyone check out Fair Territory 2 that just released live today, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.